So I was actually thinking about the Trump rally in Butler, Pennsylvania, the second one, because Donald Trump went back to the scene of the crime and he did another rally. So it's got me thinking about the first rally he did, the assassination attempt. And so my crazy, curious mind started going into what are the chances of all of the layers of security failing that day versus, let's say, internal sabotage. And so I asked ChatGPT, I asked artificial intelligence, and the answer it gave me is quite shocking. So first we have to go through what layers of security were at Butler rally that day, during the first rally. So the layers of security, and this is being very conservative on the layers of security. You can actually add more layers if you really wanted to, and it gives you an even more crazy number of all of these layers of security failing simultaneously. So the four layers it gives is Secret Service, local law enforcement, counter sniper teams, and physical barriers. Okay, all of these operate independently. So those were the four layers of security that I entered into ChatGPT so that it can quantify what are the likelihood, what are the chances of all of these failing versus internal sabotage. And so this is what it said. This is the results that it gave me. This is nuts, man. So when comparing the likelihood of four overlapping security layers failing versus internal sabotage, intentionally causing these layers to fail, internal sabotage is generally considered to be more plausible scenario in high-level security operations, and here's why. Think about that. So internal sabotage is more plausible than all four of these layers of security failing simultaneously. That's pretty freaking wild, dude. Like, so pretty much ChatGPT is saying, like, yeah, the likelihood after quantifying all this stuff and doing all kinds of math, and I have it right here, the mathematical equations it was doing is nuts. If anybody's never used ChatGPT or AI, you got to get ahead of this thing. This thing is mind-blowing what this stuff can do. You can literally ask it anything, it'll quantify anything. It's insane. And so this is what I asked it. I was curious. So it goes into this. Number one, the likelihood of multiple security layers failing. Overlapping security layers. Security systems like those protecting a high-profile figure such as a former president are designed with redundancy to ensure that even if one layer fails, the others will remain intact. Each layer, the Secret Service, local law enforcement, counter-sniper teams, and physical barriers, operate independently, and their cooperation is highly coordinated. The chances of all four layers failing independently due to external factors are extremely low. The estimated likelihood of such a scenario is well below 1% because the systems are specifically designed to minimize the risk of multiple simultaneous failures. The case study examples. Historically, security breaches that involve the failure of multiple layers, such as during the assassination of JFK, are exceedingly rare and usually attribute to unique circumstances like poor condition or external surprises rather than a complete system breakdown. Internal sabotage. Historical precedents. Internal sabotage where someone within the security apparatus intentionally undermines the system has occurred in high-profile cases. Insiders often have privileged access to knowledge of the system's vulnerabilities. For instance, in the assassination of Egyptian President Anwar Sadat, insiders were involved in facilitating the attack despite multiple security measures. Higher likelihood of human compromise. This is nuts. So compared to all external security layers failing by chance, an insider threat is statistically more likely. People within the system may be bribed, coerced, or ideologically motivated to allow security breaches. This is why the agency places such importance on background checks and loyalty assessments for personnel. However, even with these precautions, insiders have been known to circumvent multiple security layers by exploiting their position. Here are the estimates. While it's difficult to quantify precisely, the probability of an insider deliberately causing failures, sabotage, or purposeful neglect is considered more plausible than all the layers independently failing by accident. Based on historical examples, the likelihood of internal sabotage could be estimated to be in the range of 5 to 10%, especially in complex, high-stakes environments. The conclusion, it's significantly more likely for security failure to occur due to internal sabotage, an insider, or deliberately compromising security than for four independent layers of security to fail simultaneously due to external factors. This is insane. And I also asked it another question. I said, so if you were to just put a number to it, what is the likelihood, if you were to put a number to this, if you were to quantify this, what would be a comparable example? It said the likelihood of 4 layers of security failing simultaneously is the same as flipping a quarter and it landing on head 97 times in a row. Virtually almost impossible. And it says not impossible, but virtually almost impossible. That's pretty shocking, folks. So, like, this is the type of stuff you have to think about when dealing with internal, when dealing with this Butler rally assassination attempt. Like, this is why people, I'm not trying to spread conspiracy theories. I'm just trying to quantify. I'm trying to put to rest these conspiracies. I'm trying to put to rest people's concerns about, Donald Trump's safety. And when I type this stuff in and you ask artificial intelligence, like, what's the likelihood of this actually happening? It's like, oh, it's extremely low. In fact, it's so low, it's actually more likely that there was internal sabotage, somebody breaching the security by being coerced or using their position of power to sabotage the security layers than it is for all 4 of these layers failing it simultaneously. That's crazy, man. So think about that, folks. The likelihood of all of the layers of security failing simultaneously at the Butler rally in Pennsylvania, the first assassination attempt of Donald Trump, is like flipping a quarter and it landing on heads 97 times in a row. What are people supposed to think when they see numbers like this? And I said the same thing. Like, what are the chances that this 20-year-old kid was able to get on top of that roof with the rifle and fire off shots at Donald Trump, at a former president, surrounded by Secret Service, surrounded by police officers and local deputies, and counter sniper teams? Like, what are the chances of that happening? Well, now we know. The chances are extremely rare. It says less than 1%. In fact, the number it gives is like 0.000001%. That's how likely it is to happen. And ChatGPT says it's actually more likely that internal factors are at play here rather than all 4 of these layers of security failing at once. It's absolutely mind-blowing.